थोड़ा ढीला करना पड़ेगा इसको। Hello and welcome to Next IAS. Today we are going to talk about the biological anthropology. Biological anthropology is the study of human evolution and human diversity. Biological anthropology is biological aspect को study करता है ये. But when we talk about the biological aspect, it's not purely biology. It is rather biocultural in nature. When we say biocultural, human is an animal and this animal lives in society. So, human is a social animal and the study of this social animal is done by the biocultural means. So, the biological anthropology is not purely biological, it is rather biocultural study of humans. Now, when I am saying biocultural, many of you may not be able to understand what I mean by biocultural, but if you have watched the last session, the day 1 of this series, you might have understood what is biocultural. Now, in that sense, when we are talking about bioculture, let's start our discussion on biological anthropology a little bit and then we will study what is biocultural. So, biological anthropology, it is a branch of anthropology that deals with the study of human evolution and human diversity. Okay. Now, in the last session we have discussed the definition of anthropology and it was like anthropology is the systematic, objective and holistic study of humans over time and place. That means anthropology study human in a systematic manner, in objective manner and holistically over time and over place. Over time you are talking about the evolutionary dimension and over space you are talking about the diversity, right. So, this is what we are going to understand in biological anthropology, but how we are going to understand this? So, we are going to understand the evolution and diversity through biocultural approach. That means evolution have occurred because of the biological factors as well as cultural factors. Diversity is there because of the biological factors as well as cultural factors. We will understand this on various levels. One, we are going to understand the transition from ape to man through biocultural approach. We are going to understand adaptation of humans to different climatic conditions through the same approach. We are going to understand nutrition through the same approach, biocultural approach. We are going to understand then the disease aspect, the same lens. We are going to understand demography or the population through the same lens. You may also understand the concept of say growth and development through the same lens. And if you just look carefully, all of these are mentioned in your syllabus also in the part of biological anthropology. So, all of these things can be understood through biological and cultural means taken together. Why I am saying so? Because anthropology is an integrative subject, it is a synthetic science, it integrates the biological with the cultural aspect. Okay, so if you do understand this after this lecture, after doing this lecture of just half an hour or so, you would be able to attempt all these questions, and especially this question, the biocultural approach is the hallmark of biological anthropology. The question is wrongly marked, and these are the questions that have biocultural approach They were asked in 2025 only. These many questions require your understanding of biocultural approach. So this question, the first question, anthropology provides a multi-dimensional understanding of human beings by bridging the gap between science and humanities, elucidate culture and embodiment, evolutionary significance of menopause, how political economy is integrated with ecological and adaptability perspective in biocultural anthropology, discuss the significance of intersectionality of ecology, culture, social inequality in the study of nutritional anthropology, and the last one, biocultural factors influencing health of tribals. So all these questions were asked just this year only. So just see how much important this approach is, the very first thing, right? Now let's start our discussion what the biocultural approach is and how we can use it. Okay. So to understand bioculture, you must understand that anthropology is holistic study. Holistic means all round perspective. It means study of all aspects, right? And holism demands one more thing, that is the integrative approach, integration of one aspect with the another. Okay. Now let's understand how we can look at this synthetic or integrative approach in biology. So to understand this, let's take the first example, that is evolution, human evolution. Human evolution is a biocultural process. This is a statement that I am making and I will be explaining this. Human evolution is a biocultural process. That means we evolved from apes and we became human. This transition from ape to human occurred because of the biocultural factors. This occurred because of the biocultural factors. What biocultural factors have played a role? Let's look at those biological and cultural factors. So human evolution and biological factors. I am writing on this side biological factors and this side the cultural factors. Okay, so when we are talking about the biological factors, let's say the first factor, that is bipedalism. You understand this, that the apes are quadruped, that means they walk on the four legs, and human become biped, and that bipedalism resulted in the various kind of changes. So bipedalism is the first thing. Bipedalism resulted in what? It resulted in freeing of hands, and these free hands resulted in what? Precision grip. What is precision grip? See, the way I am holding this pen, this is precision grip. Now, using these free hands and this precise grip, humans have created tools. These tools were used by the early humans for the hunting. They were used for hunting, and these hunted meat was processed, food processing. Okay, this processed food was eaten, and this reduced the pressure from the jaw and the teeth, and that resulted in what? That resulted in reduced size of jaw and teeth. That is what happened in the past. Reduced size of the jaw and teeth. Hunting required strategizing, planning, reasoning, and that put pressure on the brain, so increase in the size of the brain. Okay, so cultural factors are putting pressure on biological, and biological factors are responsible for culture. Both are working together, right? Even this tool making require planning, so it also put pressure on brain, and enhanced brain size resulted in sophistication of toolkit also. So both are influencing each other. That way you can see that human evolution is a biocultural process. I can expand it further. See, bipedalism resulted in lowering of the larynx or the voice box. Okay, what happened? Bipedalism resulted in lowering of larynx, and this lowering of larynx allowed us to make different kinds of sounds. We can produce different kinds of sounds, so it played a very important role in voice modulation and speaking in the way we speak, right? So lowering of larynx, this lowering of larynx accompanied by the increase in the brain size was responsible for language. Now language is both biological and social. Okay, so lowering of larynx and development of language. Language was also forced upon us because hunting require coordination. Coordination is based on communication. So this way you can see that human evolution is biocultural. So the first thing that we have understood is human evolution is biocultural. So that is the first thing, human evolution, right? Okay. You may add one more thing if you want here, that is that bipedalism resulted in one more thing, right? Bipedalism resulted in what? It resulted in the narrowing of the birth canal of women, right? And at the same time what happened, because of bipedalism and all these changes, brain size has already increased of human baby, right? That means if the brain size of human is bigger and birth canal is narrow, then birth, labor become painful, right? Big brain. So there can be two developments. One, fully mature human brain of the baby cannot come out of the narrow birth canal, right? Fully mature brain baby cannot come out, so that is immature baby is born, right? Fully developed baby born नहीं हो रहा है, और दूसरा painful birth भी हो रहा है, ठीक है? Now after labor, female is dependent on someone, and the same time this immature baby is dependent on the mother and other members. So this could be the basis for the social institution of family also. Okay, so these are the ways you can understand that evolution of human society is biocultural. That way we understand evolution, right? Second thing is adaptation of humans. Humans are adapted to different kind of climatic conditions. You may consider the cold Arctic or hot and humid climates or high altitude climates, or you can say hot and dry climates. अलग अलग climatic conditions में adapted हैं humans. Now different environments are coming up with different environmental stresses, and with them humans are adapting with their biocultural ability. Let's take the example of cold Arctic. So Arctic में कौन लोग रहते हैं? Arctic में रहते हैं एस्किमोज. एस्किमोज कैसे अडेप्टेड है कोल्ड को? सो बायोलॉजिकल मीन्स क्या क्या है उनके? सो दे हैव शॉर्ट एंड स्टाउट बॉडी, they have shorter limbs, right? They have subcutaneous fat, okay, they have cold genes, right, and they experience what we call Hunter's phenomena or Hunter's reaction. Okay, so you will may be thinking that short and stout body, shorter limbs and subcutaneous fat, ये कैसे cold के लिए adaptation होगा? So ये basically body का surface area कम कर देता है compared to volume, तो heat loss कम होगा, that resulted in lesser heat loss, ठीक है. और subcutaneous fat तो already एक इंसुलेटर का काम करता है, वो भी उनको हेल्प करता है कोल्ड अडेप्टेशन में. कोल्ड जीन्स तो वो कुछ वेरिएंट्स हैं जो कि उनको कोल्ड में अडेप्ट करने के काम करते हैं. हंटर्स रिएक्शन क्या होता है? जब भी ठंड लगेगी तो एकदम से जो पेरिफेरल ब्लड वेसल्स हैं वो श्रिंक कर जाएंगे और ब्लड फ्लो जो होगा वो सेंटर की तरफ हो जाएगा. उस मोमेंट में क्या होगा, जब आपका ब्लड फ्लो इंटरनल हो जाएगा तो एट दैट टाइम मे बी द एक्सट्रीमिटीज जो भी आउटर स्किन है वहाँ पे आइस क्रिस्टल्स बन सकते हैं और वो आइस क्रिस्टल्स क्या होगा, कभी कभार फ्रोस्ट बाइट करा सकते हैं अगर वापस से ब्लड नहीं आया, क्योंकि अगर ब्लड इनसाइड में ही रहा तो वहाँ पे फ्रोस्ट बाइट होगा. तो इन लोगों में क्या होता है, immediately with cold exposure they would experience vasoconstriction and internal flow of the blood to maintain homeostasis. बट थोड़ी देर बाद में क्या होगा, ब्लड बाहर की तरफ फ्लो करेगा, वेजोडाइलेशन होगा. सो वो वेजोकंस्ट्रिक्शन एंड वेजोडाइलेशन की जो साइक्लिकल मोमेंट्स हैं दैट इज कॉल्ड एज हंटर्स रिएक्शन और हंटर्स फिनोमिना, एंड दैट इज रेस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर अडेप्टेशन टू दैट कोल्ड आइसी क्लाइमेट ऑफ दैट एरिया अमंग इन दीज पॉपुलेशंस. ठीक है, सो दैट्स इस तरीके से वो बायोलॉजिकली अडेप्टेड है. अब दूसरा तरीका है कि कल्चरली कैसे करते हैं वो अडेप्ट. सो दे लिव इन इग्लूज, राइट, एंड इग्लूज आर मेड अप ऑफ आइस. आइस इज एन इंसुलेटर. सेकेंड, दे वियर फर क्लोथिंग, तो फर क्लोथिंग भी उनको हेल्प करता है अडेप्ट होने में. एंड थर्ड थिंग इज दैट दे ईट animal fat and animal meat. Animal fat and animal meat. This way also they are adapted to that cold icy environment. ठीक है, so this is how they are adapted to icy cold environment. So adaptation is also what biocultural in nature. Third thing that you can take is nutrition. So nutrition is biocultural. Right, somewhere you may see stunting, wasting among the people. So maybe they can grow according to their biological potential, but they cannot grow optimally. Why? Because of suboptimal nutritional status. Now, वो तो एक पार्ट हो गया. दूसरा हम देख लेते हैं यहाँ पे. So we can look at this part as lactose tolerance. See, 70% of the world is lactose intolerant. Approximately 70% of the people are lactose intolerant. 30% ही सिर्फ lactose tolerant है. अब जो lactose tolerance है वो होती है एक जीन की वजह से, lactase. एक जीन होता है जो कोड करता है इस एंजाइम को, lactase एंजाइम को, that is lactase gene, right? In you can say in kids, in infants, lactase gene is active in all human populations, but after a certain age the lactase gene is switched off. That make those populations lactose intolerant. ठीक है, that means बचपन में तो होता है, जैसे वो थोड़े बड़े होंगे तो उनका lactose tolerant करने का जो कैपेबिलिटी है वो बंद हो जाएगी, क्योंकि वो जीन स्विच ऑफ हो जाता है. तो लैक्टेज जीन स्विच ऑफ हो जाता है ज्यादातर पॉपुलेशन में. सिर्फ 30% ऑफ ह्यूमन पॉपुलेशंस हैव दिस जीन एक्टिव. नॉर्थ इंडियन पॉपुलेशन इज सच अ पॉपुलेशन वेयर दिस जीन इज एक्टिव. नाउ लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड इस जीन का कल्चरल सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है. तो क्या हुआ, डेयरिंग जो है वो 10,000 ईयर्स के आसपास शुरू होता है, राइट, एनिमल हस्बेंड्री एंड डेयरिंग, ये कब शुरू हुआ? 10,000 ईयर्स के आसपास, और इस जीन का सिलेक्शन नेचर में 10,000 ईयर्स के आसपास ही हुआ. दैट मीन्स दिस कल्चरल फैक्टर इन्फ्लुएंस्ड द नेचुरल सिलेक्शन ऑफ लैक्टेज जीन. और जो भी डेयरिंग पॉपुलेशंस हैं उनमें लैक्टेज जीन एक्टिव है, और जो नॉन डेयरिंग पॉपुलेशंस हैं उनमें ये इनएक्टिव है. सो सिंपली बायोलॉजिकल एज वेल एज कल्चरल फैक्टर्स शेप्ड द सिलेक्शन ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर जीन. ये तो बायोलॉजिकल चीज है ना, इसका सिलेक्शन किस चीज से हुआ है? इसका सिलेक्शन इस सोशल फैक्टर से भी हुआ है. सो यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट व्हाई सम पॉपुलेशंस कैन digest milk and why others cannot digest milk. It is because of the biological and cultural factors. So what we can say that biological anthropology is biocultural in nature. Okay, next you can take is the disease. Now disease are caused by biological and cultural factors also. How? Let's take the example of sickle cell anemia. So sickle cell anemia is a genetic disorder. It is found among the tribes of central India and South India. Central India की ट्राइब्स में सिकल सेल एनीमिया का काफ़ी हाई लेवल ऑफ प्रेवलेंस है. सिकल सेल एनीमिया में क्या होता है, जो आरबीसीज होती हैं वो ओवल शेप की ना होकर वो सिकल शेप की हो जाती हैं. ओके, और ये जो आरबीसी होती हैं ये एक तो प्रॉपरली फ्लो नहीं कर सकती, दे कैन कॉन्ग्रीगेट और कहीं पे भी जमा हो सकती हैं, और जिस जॉइंट में जिस ऑर्गन में जमा होगी वहाँ पे वो पेन कर सकती हैं. और साथ ही साथ इनकी ऑक्सीजन कैरिंग कैपेसिटी जो होती है वो भी कम होती है कंपेयर टू द नॉर्मल आरबीसीज. ठीक है, सो ये सिकल सेल की आरबीसी जो होती है, ये जो डिसऑर्डर है, ये जेनेटिक डिसऑर्डर है, कहाँ पे मिलता है? जहाँ पे मलेरिया का इन्फेस्टेशन ज़्यादा होता है वहाँ पे सिकल सेल एनीमिया का जीन का सिलेक्शन भी हो जाता है. इसको मैं लिख रहा हूँ HBS के नाम से, सिकल्ड हीमोग्लोबिन. तो जहाँ पे भी मलेरिया का इन्फेस्टेशन ज़्यादा है वहाँ पे सिकल सेल एनीमिया का जीन सेलेक्ट हो जाता है. राइट, सो यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस दैट देयर इज अ कोरिलेशन बिटवीन मलेरिया एंड सिकल सेल एनीमिया जीन सेलेक्शन. नाउ ये सेलेक्ट तो हो गया बिकॉज एनवायरनमेंट ने फोर्स किया, बट ये कुछ पॉपुलेशंस में सर्कुलेट होता जा रहा है. व्हाई इट इज बीइंग सर्कुलेटिंग? बिकॉज ऑफ द मैरिज प्रैक्टिसेस. किस तरह की मैरिज? क्रॉस कजन मैरिज, और यू कैन से कजन मैरिज. तो कजन मैरिज की वजह से क्या होगा, वो सेम जीन सर्कुलेट करता रहेगा फैमिलीज में, एंड दैट रिजल्टेड इन फ्रीक्वेंट अकरेंस ऑफ दिस डिजीज. ठीक है, sickle cell disease. So marriage and this biological factor both are together playing a role in occurrence of sickle cell anemia among some populations. So you need to understand this also through the perspective of disease. Then you can talk about human growth and development also. Human growth. So growth is both biological and cultural. So a person may have a biological potential of growing maybe 6 feet tall, but suboptimal nutrition would result in what? Stunting, isn't it? That is what you can say, stunting and all these things. You can take the example of Sachin. Sachin's son Arjun is much taller than Sachin. Amir Khan's son much taller than Amir Khan, right? Why? उनका biological potential तो अलग होगा, but nutritional factors must have played a significant role in their height. ठीक है, so human growth. Next you can take the example of say population. Now when we talk about population, so one very important idea is fertility. Fertility is a very important factor that results in higher or lower population growth. ठीक है, now fertility of an individual or a population is not just dependent on biology, rather it is also dependent on culture. ठीक है, that means social factors also contribute to fertility. There was a scholar called Thomas Doubleday. Thomas Doubleday says that nutrition is inversely proportional to fertility. Better nutrition, lower fertility. Poor nutrition, higher fertility. Right? So that's how you look at fertility also or population growth also through biocultural lens. Okay. Now, if you have understood all of these things, these examples, so you can just look at this question now. The biocultural approach is hallmark of biological anthropology. So, what you will write in the introduction of this question? You would say biological anthropology is a integrative science It's an integrative science which study human evolution, adaptation, nutrition, disease, etc. Okay, ये आपने लिख दिया. Okay, it is an integrative science, study all of these, and then you can write through biocultural approach. It study all these through biocultural approach. The biocultural approach define करेंगे फिर हम इसको. What is biocultural approach? So biocultural approach is an integrative approach. It's a synthetic approach that consider the role of biological as well as cultural factors in understanding of human evolution, human growth, human development, human nutrition, etc. ठीक है, तो it is integrative approach. So you can write that this way: biological factors, cultural factors, both are like this, and this is a kind of bridge, right? Here biological anthropology, okay, and then here you can write evolution, then you can write adaptation, nutrition, disease, growth, fertility, even you can write behavior and many other dimensions. So all of these dimensions are understood through the biological and cultural perspective. This graphic would tell everything to the examiner that what you are going to explain. Now when you are talking about evolution, you may explain the diagram that I have given to you. When you are talking about adaptation, you can give any example. You can take Eskimo. I can explain even others like hot and humid, hot and dry, or high altitude climate. You can take example of nutrition here. You can take example of disease, so sickle cell anemia you can take. You can take example of secular trend in growth or stunting. Here Thomas Doubleday you can take, and all these things can be written in that way. Okay. So what biocultural approach is doing, it is integrating biological and cultural factors to understand human biology, right? Now it rejects, ये वाला बात अगर आप डालना चाहो तो आप इंट्रोडक्शन में भी डाल सकते थे, नहीं भी डाल लो तो भी चलेगा, because you have explained it other way. What it rejects biological determinism. What do you mean by biological determinism? Biological determinism simply says that biology is not working in isolation to influence human existence. Biology is working in tandem with the cultural factors to you can say make to shape human life and human existence. That's what biological determinism का rejection है, ठीक है यहाँ पे. So you need to understand it, that what is trying to say. So it is trying to reject the biological determinism. So using this you can explain that biocultural approach is the hallmark of biological anthropology. Then, so this is what you have to understand, and other than that we can also see other questions. What the other questions are? Okay, so anthropology provides a multi-dimensional understanding of human beings by bridging the gap between science and humanities. So what is science? Biological side is science side and humanities side the cultural side, उसको integrate कर रहा. तो यहाँ पे भी biocultural approach है. यहाँ पे थोड़ा और extra ideas आएंगे जो कि social anthropology में हम करते हैं, तो यहाँ पे वो वाला part अभी नहीं cover कर सकते. Culture and embodiment. What this idea says that culture lives in the body. Body is biological, and when the culture lives in the body, it shapes our biology, it shapes our behavior, it shapes our perceptions, it shapes our emotions. So culture lives in us. Cultural beliefs, cultural norms, cultural rules, cultural principles, cultural traditions, social structures, social institutions, they live in us. So a female child is born and shaped by the cultural forces, and that become a girl and later on become a woman. So women are not born, they are culturally shaped. That is the idea of embodiment. Okay, and even when you look at men and women, or men and women from different caste groups, you will find differences in their perceptions, in their emotions, and even in their body language. That is because culture is embodied in them, right? So human understanding has to come from biological and cultural factors. That is the important thing here. Next is evolutionary significance of menopause. So menopause क्यों आता है? तो there are many hypotheses, और एक hypothesis है grandmother hypothesis. Grandmother hypothesis की grandmother को focus करना था अपने grandchildren पे, इसलिए menopause आ गया over a period of time, nature ने select कर लिया, ठीक है. Then how political economy is integrated with ecological and adaptability perspective in biocultural anthropology. तो बेसिकली ये थोड़ा सा आपको सोशल अंडरस्टैंडिंग डिजायर करता है, ये अभी नहीं समझ पाओगे इससे, इसके लिए थोड़ा सा आपको डीप अंडरस्टैंडिंग चाहिए. बट अगेन हियर देयर इज अ बायोकल्चरल एंथ्रोपोलॉजी, और उसमें इकोलॉजी का रोल पूछ रहा है, ठीक है, और उसमें अडेप्टेशन कैसे हो रहा है. ओके, अडेप्टेशन एंड इकोलॉजी. सो थोड़ा सा आइडिया हमने दिया, बट वो यहाँ पे नहीं आएगा, वी कैन डिस्कस इट ऑन सम अदर डे. Then this one is nutritional anthropology. So intersectionality of ecology, culture and social inequality, उसकी बात कर रहा है. यहाँ पे भी आपका biocultural approach आएगा. Culture can be seen into your political structures, economic structures, policies, institutions. ये सारी चीजें आपके culture को influence कर सकता है, ठीक है. Environmental and biocultural factors that influence health of tribals in India. तो एक तो बायोकल्चरल फैक्टर्स आपका सिकल सेल एनीमिया ही हो गया जो उनकी हेल्थ को इन्फ्लुएंस करता है, इजंट इट. देन उनकी मैरिज प्रैक्टिसेस भी हो सकती हैं जो उनकी हेल्थ को अफेक्ट करता है ना. तो मैरिज प्रैक्टिसेस कुछ ट्राइबल्स जो होते हैं वो पॉलीगाइनी, पॉलीएंड्री प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, तो वहाँ पे सेक्सुअली ट्रांसमिटेड डिजीज हो सकती हैं. उनके फूड हैबिट्स जो होते हैं वो भी बायोकल्चरल होते हैं, वो भी इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकता है, तो न्यूट्रिशनल स्टेटस को इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकता है. सो देयर कैन बी मेनी फैक्टर्स दैट कैन बी डिस्कस सम अदर डे. But this is what I have to give you a general understanding what the biological anthropology is. So if you require, if you want to write this answer, this particular answer, that the biocultural approach is hallmark of biological anthropology, that would be a very good initiative from your side. Do write and then get back to us. We'll take care of how it should have been written, what improvements can be made into this, right? So this is it, and see you then a day before. I will be meeting you again on 25th, I believe. So see you. Thank you. All the best.